Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't need stinking roll call. You're here. Okay, public comment. This time, members of the public may address the committee on any non-agendized items. The public is encouraged to work through staff to place items on the agenda for consideration. No action can be taken on matters not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Any, with all the public we have here, is there any public comment, anyone? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the approval of minutes for June 9th, 2025. This is an action item.
Move for acceptance.
Okay, we got a unanimous. I second that, and we both vote yes. We're going to move to new business. Ordinarily, we'd be starting with Mia on the federal side. Is there something, Kelly, that you want to?
Well, I apologize.
Start-
She did just respond to my email, said she's waiting. So maybe let's just give her a second.
Oh, but
It just says, she says, I'm waiting. Has the session started?
like she's in a waiting room.
Yeah, maybe she has the wrong link.
Maybe Becca and Michael, you can send her a link or see if she's got the right link. In the meantime, do you want to get started on any? I see you have Kylie Wright from Aqua State Relay coming later.
Yeah, if I
Oh,
see that.
she's on.
Yeah, Kylie, can you hear us? Is there any way we can bump you a little bit up on the agenda?
Yeah, happy to go now.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Kylie. Go ahead. Love to hear your presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. And I know I've given some updates for you all in the past, so it's good to see some familiar faces. But for those of you that don't know me, I'm Kylie Wright. I'm a policy advocate at Aqua. I'm going to provide a couple of legislative updates for you all, and I know you were sent out our entire bill list of bills that we have positions on and what those positions are. I have a couple of wildfire bills I wanted to provide updates on. With the wildfires in Southern California earlier this year, it has been a large focus of the legislature. Right now in the legislature, bills are currently in their second house, and they're being heard this week or early next week in the Appropriations Committee if they have not already made it to the floor. The first bill I want to update on is AB 367 by Assemblymember Bennett. This bill imposes significant new requirements related to wildfire resilience on water suppliers, specifically in Ventura County. That might be why you haven't heard of this bill yet. Why Aqua's broader membership should be interested in this bill is that the Assembly member has expressed a strong interest in introducing a statewide version of this bill potentially next year. So we're advocating on this bill, assuming it will be used as some sort of model for that effort by the Assembly member. And so Aqua took an early position in March on this bill of oppose unless amended. And we've been working with the author and committee staff on amendments. The bill's been amended approximately 6 times, I think. This bill would require water suppliers in Ventura County to have sufficient backup power sources to operate their critical wells and pumps. And it gets down to pretty specific details. These generators would have to run for at least 24 hours, and mobile generators would be required to be turned on within 30 minutes of a power loss. Water suppliers would also be required to establish emergency preparedness plans, and there's some other requirements relating to hardening these critical facilities, inspections from the fire department, and reporting requirements following a fire event. And so Aqua developed a set of amendments that we've been working on achieving, but ultimately there's some overarching concerns that will be remaining. One of which is there's no sufficient source of funding for the backup power requirements. So these will fall on those water suppliers in Ventura County that have pretty significant costs which will fall onto the ratepayers, affecting water affordability. And the bill's overly prescriptive requirements relating to backup power could create compliance challenges for those water suppliers. This bill was heard yesterday in the Senate Appropriations Committee and was referred to the suspense file.
Probably.
And
Yeah.
Aqua is having ongoing conversations with the legislature and also early conversations with the governor's office expressing our concerns.
If we could pause there just for a minute, Kylie, thank you so much for joining us and for that update. This is a really important issue, as we know. We've discussed this a lot in the past, and so hopefully that will be the end of this bill for this session. I don't know, but the issue is going to come back. And in some ways, this is a little bit of an overreaction to the LA fires. Legislators in Sacramento, trying to find a solution, even if it's not the right solution. And the broader issue here is just continuing the shift of liability to utilities, not just electric utilities, but to water utilities. And that is a huge concern, huge risk. So we have a joint working group between the State Leg Committee and the Legal Affairs Committee that Elizabeth Leeper is leading up. I'm a part of that work group, and we're going to try to, hopefully the opponents to this bill will be successful this year, but then we can, as the water community, come together and propose some legislation to address that liability issue, which is a really tricky issue.
How does this conflict with CARB regulations?
I mean, no, you would still have to comply with CARB regulations. Yeah, it's a good question.
I mean, there's only one reliable source.
Right.
With diesel.
You would have to install backup generators and also comply with CARB limitations.
No, I've heard a lot about this so far this year, and it does sound ridiculous, and I don't know what the proposed amendments are.
But
We have to be pretty stringent to make this acceptable.
On the other hand, I mean, backup, all these fires, even, the one in Maui, I'll bet you the biggest problem was when the power went off, they had no backup generators. That's why water wasn't flowing. I mean, as I watched it, I was over there when it was all going down. And the same with this over here. I recognize the need to have these backup generators. We've made a huge investment in them, but we're not fully, we're not where we probably want to be.
We're I think further ahead than some, and we're working through another grant to install more. So absolutely, we're gonna have as much backup generation capability as we can, but there's no guarantee that even the backup generators are going to work in a true wildfire situation in an urban area,
Right.
or even in our communities. And that's the extension of this, that if your pump station fails, whether it was your fault or your own or not, and the backup generation then fails, the liability behind that pump station, is unfairly put on water
Who's
districts.
financing this? Is this an insurance company financed?
Financing the proposal? No, this is the
Well, who supports the I mean,
assembly person from Ventura County, I believe, Kylie.
Yeah, that's correct. And the bill, one of our major concerns is that it's an unfunded mandate. So the responsibility would fall onto the water suppliers to purchase those generators.
Okay, we spent a lot of time on this already. This is only for Ventura County this year, and if it does come back, we will spend a lot of time.
Right.
Hopefully this work group is effective in what they do this year. Continue on, please.
Yeah, thank you. The next bill also touches on that wildfire liability concern. This is SB 616 by Senator Rubio. This bill would establish the Community Hardening Commission within the Department of Insurance. And this commission would be required to develop community hardening standards to reduce fire risk and improve access to fire insurance. And under that, they would be required to develop guidelines and best practices for infrastructure improvements for water and electrical supply. Aqua adopted an oppose unless amended position on this bill in June, and we've partnered with the California Special Districts Association to advocate to remove water from the purview of the commission as we have significant concerns that this bill would result in unreasonable standards for water systems as it relates to infrastructure for fire suppression. Following conversations with the author's office and policy committee staff, the author was firm in noting that water is an essential part of this bill. And it's also important to note that the Senate Pro Tem's office is also supportive of this bill. So following these conversations, we had an Aqua working group develop amendments that would be needed if water stays within the bill. And these amendments would clarify that the bill is not creating mandated standards and that there's adequate representation of the water community on the commission, the advisory council, and the stakeholders that the commission would be required to consult with. Currently, the only representation of Aqua membership would be within the utilities that the commission would be required to consult with. So how meaningful that engagement would be is unclear. So we're asking for a seat at the table to help better guide this commission that's under the insurance department, develop these recommendations for water. We also would change the language to better reflect the role and responsibilities of water agencies, shifting them away from water infrastructure improvements and more broadly towards risk mitigation to water service. And this touches on the concerns of water agencies being expected to improve their systems in an unreasonable way to combat these wildfires. So we want to just have meaningful conversations within this commission and develop guidelines and best practices that are practical for our agencies. And make sure that any regulations that come under this would go through the regulatory process and not out of the commission. And then this bill will be heard tomorrow in the Assembly Appropriations Committee. So we'll see if that's referred to the suspense file. But given the cost to the state that this bill has, I anticipate it will be. And I can pause there if there's any questions on that bill. And I have two more updates for you all.
Carly, does it seem to you that there's more wildfire legislation this year after the LA fires?
Yeah, it was definitely a focus, especially towards the beginning of this year. I feel like legislators were thinking of solutions and kind of shifting their bill packages that they were developing to address these. These are the two main bills that affect our membership. So Aqua has been doing strong advocacy on both of these.
It's amazing what a fire, we've been dealing with this for a couple decades in Northern California with the losing cities and towns. It does bring attention to the matter, but kind of the wrong attention. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And as mentioned, the liability concern is something that Aqua is looking into. And earlier this year, we did a lot of educational outreach to legislatures on, the roles and responsibilities of water agencies when it comes to wildfires. So Aqua's been very active in those conversations this year. Moving on to my next bill, this is SB 499 by Senator Stern. This bill is including technical amendments that Aqua and a coalition of local governments have been asking for this year relating to SB 937 by Senator Wiener that was enacted last year. And this bill created new limitations for some mitigation fees for certain types of housing projects. It basically changed when certain fees could be charged. And so there was an exemption for fees related to utility connections. However, last year at the end of session, this bill was amended and it created inconsistencies between the bill and what our water connection and capacity fees are governed by in Chapter 7 of the Mitigation Fee Act. And that created some uncertainty about which fees and charges are subject to the new requirements under SB 937 and how kind of agencies should be proceeding. And so we were advocating for cleanup language. We had conversations with Senator Wiener, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to put any cleanup language in bills that he was running this year or trailer bill language. But Senator Stern, who was amending the same code section, resolving a different conflict relating to parks, Senator Stern was willing to accept these amendments and would include some cleanup language allowing for the separation of what was enacted last year and our governing section in Chapter 7 of the Mitigation Fee Act. And so we're very excited about Senator Stern being willing to help us out, and Aqua adopted a support if amended position on Friday. And we're anticipating that these amendments will go into the bill soon on the assembly floor. And once they do, Aqua will submit a letter of support with that coalition of local governments. And then pausing for any questions. If not, I can move on to my last update.
Go ahead, move on.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, I wanted to give an update on the conversations around Proposition 4 funding, which is the $10 billion funding for climate resilience that was approved by voters last year in a bond. The legislature has delayed implementation of this funding despite projects that are ready to move forward depending on this funding. And so if a spending plan isn't approved by September 12th, the outgoing of these funds will be delayed until the 2026 legislative session. And so Aqua and other organizations are doing a big push for this funding to go out. And Aqua is urging member agencies to sign on to a coalition letter. We have a deadline to sign on to this letter of noon tomorrow. And we are also urging members to contact their legislatures to notify them of any projects that they might utilize Proposition 4 funding for, and encourage that this funding go out this year. And Aqua sent out an alert last year, so I sent that over to Kelly, so he has that information for you guys.
Awesome.
And those are all of my updates.
Any questions for Kylie?
The only other one I'll add to that is there was a relatively contentious state ledge committee meeting. It's been an interesting session with AB 1413, which is a Sigma change, or it would be a really significant change to Sigma. Without getting too far into the weeds of the wonky technical details, it would force courts to defer to groundwater sustainability plans, determinations of a sustainable yield in groundwater adjudications. Bitterly divided water industry on this one, I think is safe to say. Aqua has been in a not favor unless amended position from the beginning since it was introduced, essentially, but the state ledge committee has been unable to actually agree to proposed amendments. So that puts Aqua staff, who have done a great job, in a difficult position when we have a position that we can't, deliver amendments on. The hope is that the bill, there's some things to like about it and some things to not like about it. I think it needs significant clarification and amendment. So, the hope is, at least from my perspective, I think there's some things that I would support about the author's intent, but maybe bring it back next year, but we'll see where that one goes. But you may hear about it at Aqua because it was one of those issues where you have Aqua members on both sides.
I sat in on that meeting, the state ledge last Friday. That was,
did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very interesting.
Good one.
Very contentious.
Yeah, and really quick before we move away from the state stuff, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much, Kylie. I really appreciate it.
Kylie.
And you'll
Yeah,
notice
of course.
in the packet, normally I pick a few bills that I find are very interesting. You'll see in this one, there's several, and I put links to them all. And so please, if there's anything that catches your guys' eye that you'd like to be, bring back at the next committee meeting or even to the full board, let me know. So I can kind of get an idea of what, sticks out to you guys in that long list of bills that they're working on.
Right. Kelly, are you following Mountain County's ledge stuff?
Yeah.
Got a meeting tomorrow, or you were?
Oh, I was not aware of that. Oh,
Tomorrow or Friday. Anyway, thank you, Kylie. Thank you for the update.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate your time. Good job.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thanks,
you.
Kylie.
Well, yeah, I know you're not on the committee, but you can follow follow along.
Yeah, I didn't know about that one either. Maybe how do we get?
Oh, Friday. It's on Friday at 2. Friday at 2 PM. It was just set. The Mountain County's Ledge Committee. Joel Metzger was the chair of that, and because after he took his other job, Michael Saunders at a meeting earlier this month was voted in by the Ledge Committee to be the new chair. And so he'll be introduced at this meeting, and I would like to pay attention to what they're doing, or see where we are on those items, and like to hear back from you or Michael on any any changes that anything that you'd like to suggest that Mountain Counties take up. I'm not really vocal in the meetings. I'm not a part of the Ledge Committee, but I do attend them and listen in.
Yeah, and I got a request from Justin recently. I know he's doing some other stuff to seek input from member agencies, which we appreciate. And yeah, we'd like to be up to speed on the Ledge
Well,
Committee.
on that-
activities.
On that subject, I think he's reaching out for roundtables.
Yeah.
Which we used to have probably prior to you being a general manager.
Not my fault.
What's that?
It's my fault then.
No, they just kind of went away. They did these roundtables, and it did benefit the affiliate of, vendors that attended Mountain Counties.
Yeah.
We did have a key vendor that came forward and asked, both me and Justin had conversations with him and met with him. And it was a good proposal. But so what Justin's doing right now is wants to get together, and I'd encourage you to get involved, give him your input on it, because we're talking about doing it twice a year. And it's just general managers showing up, or high staff level members from the executive committee. Hopefully all the executive committee gets involved with this.
Mhm.
And it would bring more affiliate members, and would be more beneficial to, I think, everybody sharing issues.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I think he's looking for a little bit of feedback. He's done it twice, sent out surveys, and I think there's one currently out right
Yep,
now.
I've got it. I'm
Okay.
gonna get back to him on that.
All right, with that, state updates, you anything more, Kelly?
Yeah, no, that concludes the state updates again. Unless you guys, anything sticks out in that packet that you'd like more information on, again, I can bring back later. So there's a lot of bills, as you can see, or I know Jeff would like, I can read each one if you'd like.
You want him to read it to us? Some nighttime, maybe later.
Okay.
Okay, let's let Mia do her
All
thing
right,
first.
thank
We
you.
might come back to this. Good way to end the day. It's been 3 or 4 hours.
Mia with-
Having,
Yeah.
I think Mia's with us now. I think I saw her up there. Yeah.
I'm here.
Hi,
I don't know what
Mia.
happened. Sorry about that. I was waiting
Oh,
for you guys.
Oh,
Good to
no,
see
no,
you.
no problem. you're all, I can see you're here, and I can certainly hear that you're here. Thank you. Go ahead. Our federal legislative update, please.
I think we should,
Thank you.
I
Thank
think
you
we
very
should start
much.
calling her Mo.
Mo?
All right, Mia, sorry.
No problem. Let's start with fiscal year 26 appropriations. As you recall, we've requested 3.1 million to complete the Copper Cove project. Both Senator Padilla and Senator Schiff requested the funding for us. We're waiting for the Senate Appropriations Committee to do their thing and approve a bill and see what's in there. They, of course, are having some issues, and so they've not come out with their bill yet. The chairman wants to reduce the funding levels for renewable energy, having nothing to do with the core, but happens to be in the same bill. So House and Senate are on recess now till Labor Day, so we're hoping to see something in September if they can resolve their issues on that overall funding matter. But it was nice to see that both of our senators supported us in the request. Moving forward, now the other area of interest and spent a lot of time on with the team over the last couple of weeks is a WRDA request, Water Resources Development Act request. Again, you'll recall that that's the authorization bill for the Corps of Engineers that we have every 2 years. Coming out of the last get together we had in the Legal Affairs Committee, Michael and I kicked around, did we have any ideas for potential projects? And out of that came something that was put together very quickly, but very, I think, successfully. What we were doing is submitting a request to Corps headquarters to basically get a project included in their report that they then fold into WORDA. So it's kind of like a foundational piece for us. And what that project is I don't know if you guys had a chance to talk about it, New Hogan Reservoir raw water intake and transmission pipeline, essentially to extend a pipeline 2 miles from New Hogan to the Jenny Lind water treatment plant, essentially replacing the infiltration gallery we have and the issues surrounding that with sediment and other issues causing some water quality. And instead have this direct intake into New Hogan with transmission lines, et cetera, to our plant. Total project cost estimated at 14 million. Under the authorization, the feds would pay 10.5, we would pay 3.5 million, which is a nice 75-35 cost share. So what would do is basically expand the authority that we have in place that we used for Copper Cove to increase that by this 10.5 million on the federal side. So we just last week put together the application, submitted it to Corps headquarters. Michael's team was incredible, including Kelly standing right there, helping us to put the application and a map and getting letters of support very, very quickly for the project. We got that into Corps headquarters at the end of the week for this New Hogan project. The Corps will then look at that to see if they want to consider it in their report. Assuming they do, we've been successful on this kind of route before, as you recall. We'll then go to the WORDA legislation when they start that up, which I think will probably be later in the fall for applications. We've essentially done our application because we've already submitted something to headquarters. But we're also looking to see if we might have a potential cost sharing partner. Besides the Corps of Engineers, I think some work is being done now to look at potential flood control benefits there at Cosgrove Creek, right nearby the site of this. So that is being looked at now, and that application has been submitted to Corps headquarters. We'll look forward to WORDA starting up in the fall.
Mia,
Yep.
you mentioned the flood control, and I'm not completely familiar with everything that we're discussing here, and I'm sure I probably missed the engineering meeting, but the last go around back in the old days when we
Right.
were dealing with Cosgrove Creek flood control, the feds sent a letter to the county saying it was their responsibility.
Correct. This is, Jeff, at its heart, a water supply enterprise for us to
Okay.
get, Michael helped me with it, but higher
Yeah.
quality, reliable water directly
Is it,
from
is
New
it,
Hogan.
So
is it connected to the 2 mile pipeline? Is the Cosgrove Creek stuff connected in some
So,
way?
yeah, so let me start from backing up a bit to really what this does is instead of, because you guys have heard for years now, we have concerns and issues with the infiltration gallery, the intake structure that's in the river for our Jenny Lind water treatment plant. The cost of replacing that in stream and with environmental regulations now, very, very concerned about that. The other alternative is a direct intake from New Hogan, and that's what this project would be.
I understand
So
all,
it would
all of that.
replace, it would replace
Yep.
that. The connection to the potential flood impacts is right now, we have concerns because that infiltration gallery is right there at that confluence. And so this just, we have concerns about limiting, we communicate with the Corps during flood events about what their discharges are and how it's going to impact our infiltration gallery, how it's going to impact our infrastructure. And this just kind of bypasses all of that. So there would still, it doesn't mitigate the flood risk. It doesn't mitigate, Cosgrove Creek from flooding, but it potentially hardens our infrastructure from that flooding and takes some of those constraints off of the
It
Corps.
reduces the potential for damage or
Right. So
Yeah.
that's the angle
water
there.
quality.
But there are other conversations going on with the county about Cosgrove Creek, and we're looking at potential interaction with, groundwater recharge opportunities or anything that we can do to help, support that effort to mitigate flooding in the creek. And
With our 50-acre parcel. Is that what?
that's part of it, but yeah, there's, those discussions are happening too. That's, connected to the Calaveras River watershed study, the county's requirements to comply with the AB 552 requirements. So there's multiple different planning efforts that are happening. And so we're just trying to figure out how we can take advantage of that to create, even if, I don't think groundwater recharge would solve that problem necessarily, but it could potentially reduce the impacts of flood and help, it's just a win-win project potentially.
So when we're talking about this 2-mile pipeline of raw water directly to the Jenny Lind plant, and then we talk about Cosgrove Creek and flood, the flood protection would be pretty much our tenant and our plant. Would be
Well,
any-
yeah, I don't know if it does much. I don't think the tenant is at risk there necessarily, so I don't know that we're,
Or our property.
but it helps harden our intake from those flood risks.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
From the potential damage of the flood.
Yeah, and Kevin and as Mia mentioned, Mia and Kevin and Kelly have done an awesome job on this. And so, we put it in and we see where it goes.
Who's having these discussions regarding the flood control at the county?
Eric Hall is the director of Calaveras OES now, so I think he's kind of in the lead on it.
I'd
But-
be interested in being.
Eric Holt.
Holt, they say Holt.
I'd be interested in being CC'd in whenever they're meeting or something.
Yeah, we have an engineering committee meeting coming up in September. We can put it on the agenda and give you an update on.
I just like to know what they're doing. I mean, I can still remember all the stuff that we did years ago,
Yeah,
there's a lot of that, it's like I say, there aren't any new ideas, it's just new opportunities.
yeah.
Right.
Why don't we
you know,
make a note to invite Eric to the engineering committee?
Be
Introduce
interesting
you
to
guys
see what he-
and yeah.
Yeah. And maybe you can, do you still have any copies of the old, Cosgrove Creek flood control?
Oh,
I'm
boy.
sure.
I don't know, maybe, but I'm not sure. That was quite a while ago. I
Well,
do
we
know
should.
that Supervisor Tuffanelli did send a letter of support for this water intake proposal, which was very nice of him.
Are you still doing work for the county, Mia?
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
but we should mention thank our supporters, because Kelly got letters from Assemblymember Tongipa's office, Senator Alvarado Gill's office, Angels Camp, again, the mayor of Angels Camp, and Supervisor Tofinelli. I think that was it, right?
Mm-hmm. And you.
Yeah. Yeah, I had Biden sign up for me.
Yeah. We like to give you an update on the things Becca put your signature on, so.
Easy.
The auto pen.
Yeah.
Oh, if that completes that discussion for now, we've got another concept that's even newer than that one that just came up to me a couple weeks ago. The Corps has talked to our team about preventing golden mussels from entering into New Hogan. That was presented to me as, is there an opportunity here for us? And I did some research, and there is some possibility again, maybe in WORDA for amending language for kind of invasive species to allow the Corps to go in and do some work like, watercraft inspection, all that kind of good stuff. So that's, I think there's an upcoming meeting on that at the end of this month with the Corps and Kevin and our team to kind of learn a little bit more about the threat and whether or not, there is an opportunity in WORDA. So I laid that out there as kind of an early piece. We haven't done anything on it, but there is a meeting at the end of the month. So we'll just watch that space and see
Yeah,
what we have.
just a little bit more on that, Mia, if I
Yeah.
could. We've had
Mhm.
good communication with the Corps. Appreciate them being really just forthcoming and sitting down with us and talking about how we're handling that situation at New Hogan, which is I think the very high on the list of, high risk reservoirs. And so they did get an appropriation for a decontamination unit. I don't remember exactly what those things are called, but that way, when they do inspections and they don't have to necessarily just turn people away, they can run them through this hot water decontamination unit and still let them get on the water. Staffing is an issue though, both for inspections and for operating that unit. So that's something we're talking to them about. I don't necessarily see that being, CCWD staff doing it, but we might be able to help connect them with some resources. And then they informed us of a program that Sonoma Water did through the Corps funding. They got funding through the Corps to implement an invasive species mitigation program. And so we reached out to Sonoma on that. We're still, that's what Mia's talking about now. We're learning about what opportunities are there, and the Corps, I say the local folks, it wasn't just the local folks, the local project folks were there, but it was their regional or even, I don't know.
Division?
Yeah, I still am not 100% clear about the Corps bureaucracy, but they're the folks that are addressing that issue at a higher level. were
This
in
is
that
just a
meeting
California
too.
thing, right?
Well, the golden mussel is for now.
Okay.
It'll spread. But the specialists that they have helping to address that issue are all over the West Coast.
And are we
And so
testing
they-
at Jenny Lynn? Are we doing regular daily testing? I mean, we're so close to Hogan.
Well, that's why it's such a huge concern. I don't think we're like doing DNA testing every day at Hogan.
Is that
no,
what
but
kind of-
we've tested water quality.
Is that what test do you?
There isn't really a golden mussel test.
Well, how are people, I mean,
You're finding them.
finding them.
So
They're
one
actually
of the things
growing.
Corps is going to do is deploy these units in New Hogan that attract them, so that if they do arrive, they will go to these units that the Corps is.
They're not
deploying.
visible when they arrive. They have to grow to a certain size.
They can be visible when they arrive. Sometimes they have a handful of them in the bottom of the boat. But yeah, sometimes it's just the water that is contaminated with the microscopic,
Larvae
versions
or
of them.
whatever it is.
And then that's what spreads. And so there's concerns on all those fronts. But the Corps, working with us on that. So we'll keep seeing if there's an opportunity there.
Interesting.
Yep. Next item up. We had talked over time about follow up to a discussion that we had with Congressman McClintock about the idea of FERC relicensing and streamlining that process. And you'll remember that the congressman became pretty animated about the idea of, way too burdensome a process, made no sense. And at that time, he verbally agreed to send a letter to the administration to say, hey, I'd like to work with you to find some common sense ways to streamline the process. This is ridiculous, not only for us, but for other water districts. So we finally got sign off on that letter. I've sent it over to McClintock's office. I'm following up. We've got new staff over there, so just kind of educating them on where we've been. But, the congressman got the issue very quickly, as you remember, and seemed to be very interested in it. So we put in a request to get a letter over to start kind of administrative discussions between McClintock's office and Department of Energy and Interior, and that would include ourselves, as kind of the technical expert. So the request is in to McClintock's office to send that letter, and I will keep you posted.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how is
and
it,
then-
how
Go
is that
ahead.
education process going with McClintock's new staff?
Well, slowly, because it's recess right now and it's hard to, get people's attention when they're in and out of the office at whatever hours. But I think it'll be good. I've been dealing with the chief of staff. He's been a little busy, but he sent me over to his new ledge director. So I think it'll be good.
Good.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, I'm
all right,
hopeful.
continue on. What else do you have?
Okay, final matter is, for a fall visit. And I was talking to Michael about this and, honestly, things haven't really progressed all that far from the last time you guys were here. It's a little bit unstable in Washington. I'm not sure this is the best time for you guys to come out here in person. I think we should do that in the spring when we've got, a budget, we've got new proposals, we've got, legislation to be developed, etc. So I was going to propose
Cherry blossoms, et
yeah,
cetera.
there's that. I was going to propose virtual meetings for later in October, the week of the 27th, just to, push on our existing request that we have in. And then tie our spring visit to the National Hydropower Association visits, which I think, Michael, are March 9 through 13. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And have you guys come out during that period so you can, kind of attend some of those sessions, and then we can also have our meetings, if that works for everybody.
I thought that worked out really well, and we still need to be ramping up our education, so. I'm all for
Cutting
that.
in and out. I'm missing things here.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I agree with that. I think that, that was a good combination of meetings with what we have going. So I'm all for it.
Okay.
I concur. But we did, Michael did send a text around the last couple of days, or I guess it's only Tuesday, so I guess it was yesterday. And I think it would work better for Jeff's schedule to do it in the first, you said October 20, the week of the 27th. What about that following week? The following week of November, the first week of November? Is
I
that-
definitely will be traveling. I will definitely be traveling that week.
Oh,
That's what I'm trying to say. November, I'll be leaving. I'll be
oh,
flying
is that-
out.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, is that what the text said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I
okay.
think the 27th is the most likely that I
Okay.
won't be in a tree or an airplane.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
We can, Mia, we can
That's all right.
coordinate that offline. We'll make sure you have the best dates. But I think
Okay.
that plan in general, that makes a lot of sense to me, is make these as productive as possible. And I think that's a good plan.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope,
No?
All right.
very
That
thorough.
concludes my report.
All right. Well,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. Good seeing
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Take
Mia.
care. Thank
See you
you.
soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
She's in, she's out. She doesn't waste any time, like she's
Well, that's
billing,
positive. So we,
like she's billing by the hour,
getting back to the 3 million.
or she's not.
So that's requested by both senators.
It has been,
3.1.
it wasn't included in the budget
Budget.
this year, so we'll ask again next year.
And the year after that,
Well, hopefully we won't have to the year after that.
Hopefully.
And we're using the same authorization for the intake as we are for the copper project.
Yeah, it's an expansion of that same authorization.
So
Which really?
we just use that until forever.
until they tell us to
Yeah,
go away.
as long as we can continue to
Oh, we got everything
increase the
paid for?
as long as we can continue to increase the authorization amount through WRDA, then we can, continue to ask for appropriations.
Okay, so obviously that first project in Copperopolis fit well into WRDA. and is this in the same boat, same category?
Yes.
I mean, that was
We looked
wastewater.
at that language and it does seem like it's a good.
Even though
a good
that was
candidate.
wastewater, this is water.
Yeah,
It all
It does
fits.
still seem like a good candidate
The
and,
19 authority, is that?
Yeah. and it's an Army Corps dam. So I don't know how much that will, it's part of the narrative here that we're trying to, put the Army Corps' resources to good use here.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, we do have a raw water intake in there that feeds La Cantena.
Mhm.
Is that, and this will be a second one.
Yeah, separate raw water intake.
Okay. And that one doesn't get raw water any closer to Jenny Lind?
No.
No. Okay. What else we got? Besides, we're gonna hold Kelly to his offer of reading those 10 or 12 pages to us.
I don't think you're not gonna have a forum, but you can do it if you want.
How about, can you record that and send it, and just send it to us?
Yes.
No, but again, please let me know if there's any
Okay.
that, you guys would like to know more about, I can bring them back to you.
No, I would, okay, here, and that's what, and my answer to that is, let's look at what Mountain Counties is looking at for our area and see if there's anything that we're not aware of. That
Okay,
would be my only recommendation.
okay,
That they do a lot deeper dive than I would ever want to do on stuff that affects us and our fellow districts in this region.
absolutely.
Yeah, 2:00 on Friday. That's all I know. I have no idea what the agenda is yet, but and Michael Saunders will be running it. Anything further here? Oh, we're gonna move to general manager's report?
Just real briefly, I'll mention at the next board meeting also, but thanks to Kelly, in large part, thanks to Kelly, but really positive town hall meeting in Copper last week. I think went really well. Kelly did a great job, but team effort. Kevin and Damon were also part of the presentation, and actually Mazingo, a rep from Mazingo came and did a really good job of just kind of leveling with the community and answering their questions and connecting with folks about our sea tank transmission project. So really positive outcome overall. I think Russ and Jeff Robertson were there, and I think they came away from it really happy. So kudos to Kelly for that program. And in general, that's all I can think of for now. I'm sure we'll have more updates next week.
Okay, director's comments, future agenda?
Nothing.
Okay, I do want to say kudos to, I don't know if he's still on, Kevin and Kelly for putting this, the federal stuff together for me, on the Word in such quick fashion. That just came out of nowhere. I had never heard about that idea to solve that problem. I know when I was toured Jenny Lind, that was something that's discussed, and I've heard about it since then, about that intake, and how difficult it would be to do. And I don't think we'd ever be able to redirect that river somewhere else while we did work on it again. That just seems like an environmental nightmare, but no, so kudos to you, and if Kevin's not on, if you guys would pass that on, I think he is on. And future agenda items? Anything? Oh, future agenda items, whatever Mountain Counties is working on.
Yeah, and I guess I should mention one other thing. So the deadline for legislative proposals for Aqua is coming up in case there are member agencies that want to propose legislation that Aqua would sponsor. And so Larry McKinney reached out to me about low-income ratepayer assistance proposals. There's been a lot of those floated over the years, some good, some bad, some horrible. And so he sent me a draft of something. We're going to see if we can work together and put
There's
something
a couple
together.
in here.
What's that?
There's a couple proposals in the package about the rate assistance.
Right.
None of it really made a lot of sense to me.
Right. So I think it's, I think sometimes it's on Aqua to put forward proposals rather than just oppose stuff. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. They're going through another rate increase, so it's top of mind for them.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is item number 7, our next committee meeting. October 7th, I'll be on a Mountain County tour. And I think it's an all-day tour. And then later on that week, Michael, you said you might want to go down to Hell's Hole at one of Custer County Water Districts, PCWAs. We're doing a tour later on that week too, so I'll be in the Sacramento area from Tuesday through Friday. But
can look
I
for
would like to
another date.
I'm sorry?
We can look for another date.
Okay, and we don't have to do it right now?
Yeah, why don't we follow up with you on, maybe the following week, maybe we do the 14th.
Seems like I have to cancel this meeting every single time. I have a hard time planning around it. Okay. But I definitely, we do want to do, they got a lot going on, it seems like, with this stuff.
Yeah, October will be good, because it'll be, you know, we can prep for those, virtual federal meetings. The legislative session and the veto deadline will have passed by then, so we can give you an update on the outcome of this legislative session.
Good.
So October is always a good one.
Okay, with that, the music plays.
Yeah.
Walk us off the stage. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.